has been a very long time since I have vlogged. It's not that I haven't recorded anything that I did over the year. It's just that I was so happy to see the end of 2020, which to me had been one of the most challenging years that I have had. And then when 2021 came, first month, second month, it was so much more challenging than I ever thought it would be. And I've been renting every day. That's how I've been feeling every day. But had it not been for this depressing year of 2021, a lot of things have changed in my life actually, and a lot of things have happened, big things, which, you know, have all been overtaken by the fact that we have such an incompetent government in charge. Let me give you a little bit of update about how my life has changed over the last couple of months. So number one, I've moved. So in the past few years I have lived in my apartment in Sentul, and in March this year I moved here to Taman Melawati. This week something is happening. I'm actually moving. My house is in a little bit of a mess right now because we're packing. Tomorrow movers are coming, so today is the last day where we will kind of need to do all of the packing, so that, you know, tomorrow the movers can take the furniture and stuff. I am super tired actually because I spent the weekend in Jandabai, and then last night I spent about 3.5 hours on the road, being stuck at the roadblock heading back to KL. 3.5 hours, and you would think that that roadblock was done so that, you know, the people at the policemen at the roadblock was checking everybody approvals to travel interstate. Well, no, there wasn't any. It was just pure traffic jam. Once you get to the policeman manning the roadblock, there was absolutely no check. He just let everybody through. So I kind of feel like it's a roadblock for no purpose. That's just another thing to add to the list of things that have been making me so angry this year. It is moving day for me, and I'm going to show you around the situation right now. There has been some progress, but it's still a complete and utter mess. But the movers are scheduled to arrive this morning at about 9. It's 7:45 now. Eddie is driving back from Jandabai. He was supposed to drive back last night, however, we looked at the traffic situation and the traffic at the roadblock was chock-a-block. We just decided it would be better for him to drive back this morning. We've moved in and finally settling in. The plan to move here has always been, you know, we've been talking about the plan to move here since the end of last year, mainly because of the situation with my mom. As you may know, my mom who lives with me, she has Alzheimer's, and she's also been gradually losing a lot of mobility, so she has not been able to walk, she's not been able to move around as freely. And so, you know, it would be nice to have, you know, she needs 24-hour care now. As fate would have it, earlier this year my brother also informed me that he will be relocating for work to Switzerland. So how's the appetizer?
The appetizer is very, very tasty.
Thanks to Chef One.
The colors are not very appealing.
We had the appetizer, that's tauhu and
it's very
satay.
normal Malaysian food. The colors may not be definitely appealing, you know, but it may be quite garang.
Do you have Malaysian food in Geneva?
You'll bring Malaysian food there.
Have to get Chef One there. Anyways, here is the spread that we have. We're waiting for the rest of the crew. The crew who is going to Geneva. My brother and his family will be flying off to Geneva because my brother is going to start his new job there. The family is relocating to Geneva and they're flying off on Monday morning, which is basically Sunday night. And given, you know, our schedules and stuff like that, I will not be able to be driving back from Jandabai to KL to meet them on Sunday before they fly off. So today, just now, was sort of like our farewell. And I know it wasn't as emotional as, you know, you would expect, because at the end of the day, I think it's very different these days saying goodbye to people who are traveling outside or relocating to a different country because of technology. You know, whatever it is, you're still gonna keep in touch. There's FaceTime, you know, you'll be conference calling and things like that, so you don't really feel like you won't see them. But you know, I think I'm gonna miss having them close by, having them around, and I think it's also going to be a little bit of bittersweet for my mom. She may not, you know, really be aware of what's going on, but I think there must be some feeling, some sense that, you know, will we see each other again, all of us together again, you know. So yeah, that's the way, you know, that's what life is, that's how life goes on. And I think it's going to be a great adventure for them in a different country, in this very, very interesting and very trying times. And tonight I am going for a dinner. Eddie and I are going for a dinner with a bunch of friends, my close friends. It is the 40th birthday celebration for a couple of us, and so we're having a dinner in a room that we have rented for the occasion so that we can, you know, be sufficiently socially distanced from other people. Yeah, it'll be also, you know, it's also going to be at least a nice cozy way and safe way for us to catch up with our friends. We haven't met up, I think, for more than a year. Hi, Hatta.
What's vlogging? What's vlogging on TV?
Vlogging is telling a story with a video.
The video?
Yes. So like right now, I'm telling the story of a little boy who's having his orange juice at his table. And he's...
Cat. Silly.
Which little boy is that?
Me.
Yes. I have been going to Gender Bay. Pintu is only open on weekends. During this RMCO, CMCO, MCO, this interstate travel restrictions has hit Pintu extremely hard. Gender Bay as a whole is very badly impacted by these travel restrictions. It has literally been the 5 months that we've had this year has been much worse than the whole of 2020, and the whole of 2020 was pretty bad. But suffice to say, I have been overrun, overwhelmed with so much emotions of frustration and anger and disappointment and anger. I want to talk today a little bit about mental health, because I know these are things that we hear a lot about, and it has become extremely important, especially during this last year and this year. You know, our lives have changed so much, and we have been so majorly impacted by the lockdowns, the lack of social interactions. You know, some people have not been able to travel or meet their families. You know, Eddie has not been able to go back to Aceh to see any of his relatives or family. You know, all of this certainly has made an impact on everybody's mental health, and I think for me it was never really an issue. It was never really something that I thought about, even though there are times when I would say things like, oh, I'm so depressed today, and today I feel there's a lot of anxiety going on. I never really put a lot of thought into what those words mean until this year. I think you've heard a lot in the videos about how this year I have felt a lot of feelings of anger, and I think it's something that is very important for us to be able to rant out, for us to be able to share. And what helped me a lot really to get through that sense of frustration and anger has been the fact that I feel that a lot more and more people around me, my friends, my relatives, whenever I call them, whenever I talk to them, whenever I communicate with them, more and more people are in the same boat as me. They're all feeling the same way. We're all going through this sense of anger, and knowing that you're not alone there helps a lot. And when the government announced the third nationwide MCO, just a couple of days before Raya and a couple of days after giving an assurance that they will no longer be doing nationwide MCOs, I think that was the pinnacle or the height of the anger and frustration that I have felt. And now that I have had more time to think about it, and I know there's been a lot of attempts by various parties to say, you know, you're not justified to feel so angry, we're not a cruel government, it was a necessary decision. And I think it's very important to look back and to be very clear that I think people are not thinking that it is not a necessary decision. This recent MCO, are we against the MCO? No, I think what we realize is that we don't have a choice because we have failed. MCO 2.0 had failed to contain the spike. And as a result, we have had this MCO imposed upon us. When MCO 1.0 hit, it was a new phenomenon. The whole world was facing it. We were all in it together globally to fight this scourge, and everybody looked at it as this is our duty. All in all, at the end of the day, people were not as angry because, look, we had to do it. Plus, there were various support systems in place. The moratorium, the wage subsidies I've mentioned before when I was talking about whether Pinto Coffee can survive this pandemic. There was that social security network that was set up to help the people when they were asked to stay at home. We have been in this pandemic for more than a year, and the government, by right, should have more well thought out policies to be implemented. They should have had enough time to do preparations for when things like this happen, when there are spikes, when there are waves. The policies are flawed. From the beginning, there was always talk about wanting to balance between lives and livelihoods. And everybody understood that. It means we need to move on, but at the same time, we also need to make sure that everybody could take the necessary precautions so that we do not increase the risk of transmission. But activities, I mean, when you have this in mind, activities which involved large crowds and in indoor setting, for example, like seminars, weddings, and those kind of things, it should never have been allowed. The government had allowed all of those things even when the numbers were high. And this is actually where the government should have stepped in, because yes, a lot of people's livelihoods will be impacted because, you know, if you're not allowed to have weddings, and it's a big industry, if people are not allowed to have seminars, there's a whole industry that's associated with it. Well, those industries needed government support to support the workers and the small businesses in that area. That's where the government should have stepped in. But those events should not have been allowed to continue. The second thing that I think has caused a lot of anger among people is that the enforcement of those policies, of those SOPs, were utterly and visibly unfair, because there was one set of rules that was made for the VIPs and the celebrities, and they could flout those SOPs very openly and without being punished for it. And it seems like there was another set of laws and there was another set of SOPs for little people, and if you flout it, you will get ever increasing amounts of fines. These are visible, people can see it, and there's two impact here. The first, it made people who don't believe that COVID was a big problem anyway, it made them think actually maybe it's not really a big problem because celebrities and VIPs don't really follow the SOPs, so maybe COVID is not really a big problem. And the second one is, it makes people who actually do think COVID is a big problem and who do follow the rules, such as myself, it makes us angry because we follow the rules. And it makes us angry when we see other people do not get punished for not following the rules. They keep telling us, you have to follow the SOPs. Rakyat doesn't follow the SOPs. Rakyat needs to follow the SOPs. You're not doing your part, so you can't punish people when you are not taking it yourselves. I think the most important thing that has come alight is the fact that this government, in their policies, don't seem to show that they care for the people. They care for the people enough. It's a super privileged position to be able to say, duduk diam-diam dekat rumah, stay at home. It's a very privileged position to be able to say that. I think not many people can afford to say, I can just sit at home and do nothing, because a lot of people are struggling to put food on the table. It's a very privileged position to be able to say, hey, you small businesses out there, don't just think about making money, think about not spreading COVID. Well, those people are small businesses who have run down their savings in order to put some food on the table, and then you make flip-flop policies that hurt them even more. That doesn't help them, it just hurts them even more. Now, we're not talking about people who are earning a lot of money and have a lot of savings. We're talking about people who struggle day to day. And I think this is where the government has failed to feel the pulse of the people, failed to listen to the voice on the ground. MCO 1.0, there was, like I said, moratoriums, wage subsidies, food supports, food assistance, financial assistance. This time around, there's absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. The situation is worse. And I think when you're saying that we've gone through this pandemic for a year, more than a year, and the pandemic that the whole world is going through, and we are worse off today than we were before, that's a failure. And that's a failure, and that's why I think the anger is justified. I'm going to be here, for the next couple of days. We won't be celebrating Raya anyways. There's still a bunch of things that needs to be done, even though the cafe is closed, but we still do have a coffee plantation. We do still need to continue with processing some of the coffee beans, roasting some of the coffee beans. That work needs to continue. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of days. And it's nice to be able to spend Raya with Eddie, because I haven't seen him actually for the last couple of weeks. But at the same time, it's kind of sad and bittersweet, because I'm have to choose between whether I'm going to be spending Raya here with Eddie or in KL with my mom. I would like to wish everybody Selamat Hari Raya, and let's hope and let's pray that we will soon be able to put all this behind us, and that we can move forward and live our life. By the way, guys, Eddie's doing a lot of construction work around the place. I guess now is one of the best times to do it, when there's no one around, no other work that needs to be done. But yeah, do some repair work. Are you not impressed? Eddie's making a new feeding place for you.